Okay, hello again. Good morning. I hope you're well. Today we continue the series of interviews with the writers of the aviNews International magazine. And today we are with Dr. Mabel Ndebele. How are you, Dr. Mabel?
I'm fine, thank you, David. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. Welcome to aviNews International.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get into the subject, could you quickly introduce yourself to our followers and tell us a little bit about your academic and professional experience?
Okay, I'll get right on with that. My name is Mabel Ndebele. I'm an animal scientist based in Zimbabwe, and I've been working in the poultry industry in Zimbabwe for about the past 10 years, working with commercial contract farmers, small-scale farmers, as well as rural poultry farmers. I have got a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science from the Midland State University, and I also have a master's degree in food science and nutrition
Okay.
as well to complement the aspects of livelihoods because it's something that's also close to my heart. And my interest is working with small scale farmers to help them to have sustainable livelihoods through poultry production.
Okay, doctor, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here. Um, so
Thank you.
now I would like to talk a little bit about your article, Clinic and Disinfection of Open Site Houses and Humid Season in Broiler Production, which will be published in the March 2025 issue of News International magazine. So,
Yes.
the first question, in Zimbabwe and most sub-Saharan countries, what should small-scale poultry farmers fight with?
So most of the poultry small scale farmers that I've worked with during the course of my career for years now, they really struggle with resources.
Okay.
These resources, they vary from knowledge, training, technical expertise, as well as financial resources to upgrade their sites and their businesses to also be competitive in a very competitive industry already. So
Yes.
those are some of the things that they really struggle with.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Yes.
and also in your article, you tell us that many times poultry farmers ask you in the rainy season, why are my beers not growing? What do you usually answer them?
Okay. So I get that quite a lot, and it's still an ongoing question that I'm getting because as we speak right now, we are still in the humid season this side.
Yes.
So most of the times, I just tell them I don't know because there's no one simple answer to the reason because sites are different, farmer management is also different, and
Yes.
also the areas are also different.
Okay.
So in most of the times, what I then try to do is to have a one-on-one conversation that is site-specific with the farmer to try and understand their challenges. What exactly is their management practice like? How frequent do they place their chickens and their sighting, the house sighting, and all those things? How they are doing their routine cleaning and disinfection, and all those things. And then lastly, once I have at least a history, even of their performance, how they've been performing the previous batches, like their mortalities, profit per bed that they've been getting, I then try to do a site visit to really have a clear understanding. And most of the times you find that the farmers will be struggling with most small-scale farmers, they struggle with knowledge. And it's mostly an issue of multi-age sites and all those things. Now with the bacterial buildup, that is now when you start seeing they probably have 4 or 5 batches that are a week apart old, and all these batches are not growing, and it's humid, it's wet, and there's a lot of bacteria on site.
Okay.
So usually how I deal with that question is I try to understand their history and then I try to do a site visit so that we can then find the problem together with the farmer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And what is the main factor that is often overlooked to achieve success through the rainy season? And how long is the rainy season?
So of late, the rainy season usually in Zimbabwe, we've been used to it starting from around November,
Yes.
end of November into December up to about March, which is about 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
But then with the whole seasons changing of late, we started getting our rains like mid to late December. and then it's been raining through January and February. And for now, it's a bit dry, but we are still expecting some more rains. So that's basically generally the rainy season period. So to answer your question, how I usually then, what I've seen that farmers overlook is the rest period, because most farmers are always trying to maximize their profits.
Yes.
Like, for instance, yes, they want to maximize their profits. They want to get more batches so that they get more money. But then they overlook the aspect of resting the site because, yes, they do cleaning and disinfection. They quite understand the cleaning and disinfection, but they also then overlook the resting period because you need to give the houses a break before you put in the next batch.
Yes, that's true.
So yes. So most of the times is the resting period that is often overlooked because the farmer will tell you, but I did cleaning and disinfection. Okay, after cleaning and disinfection, when then did you place? I took out my beds on a Wednesday. I did my cleaning and disinfection on a Thursday, and then I placed my next flock on a Friday.
Yes.
So to them, the resting period is also something that some farmers struggle to understand and to observe.
Okay, okay. And you say in your article that the success of the next batch is depend on how well the clean out is done for the previous batch. Can you explain this a little more?
Yes. Okay. So generally, we need to reduce the bacterial load in any poultry site because when the beds are there, there's always a bacterial load that
Yes.
will actually increase on the site. So now for us to then place a next batch, we need to make sure that we properly clean and give the new chicks a chance of survival
Yes.
because now we are bringing in new chicks, they've got a weaker immune system, and then if they're coming into a dirty environment that has got too much bacteria, their chance of survival and productivity as well is already compromised.
Okay. Okay.
So for them to be successfully grown and be a profitable batch, they also need to be given a proper start.
Okay. And in Zimbabwe, commercial, small scale, and large scale farmers aim to produce broiler batches on a 9-week cycle. Tell us about this 9-week cycle, please.
Okay. So basically, the 9 week cycle, it's just more of a cycle. It's like a business cycle that actually is a bit sustainable that will help farmers to observe the standards in poultry production on
Hmm.
the technical aspect, but as well also observe the production side. So the 9 week cycle usually generally will get to grow chickens. Farmers will grow their beds for 5 weeks, they'll place them, and then they'll grow them for about 5 to 6 weeks, depending. So an average of 5.5 weeks.
Yes.
Soon after that, 5.5 weeks or 6 weeks of growing, they'll then do cleaning and disinfection. Their cleaning and disinfection should roughly take them about half a week to a week.
Okay.
So that will give us another week. And then after that, there's also then the time to rest, the resting period, which is also probably 2.5 to 3 weeks. So when you add that whole timeline, it will give you 9 weeks. So every farmer is trying to maximize their financial gains and their profitability and their business plan, but as well as observing the technical aspect that they need to rest so that they can have a profitable batch next after that one.
Okay, great. Thank you. And
Yes.
which are the general steps that can help poultry farmers to clean and disinfect well and avoid challenge that become more pronounced when the rainy season begins and the humidity levels rise?
Okay, so I think an all-in, all-out system is the best for
Yes.
farmers.
Mhm.
I personally advise most of the farmers that I work with that they need to stick to an all-in, all-out system, especially if they've got one site where they place in their batch of chickens. If they're placing 1,000 chickens, they place them once, they grow them, they reach maturity, they take them all out at once, they clean and rest, and then start again instead of doing multiple batches over and over to have different batches on the same site.
Okay, okay, okay. And how important is the stage 3 chemical cleaning? Chemical cleaning. Yes.
So the chemical cleaning aspect, that is when then the farmer is now introducing the chemicals which really help with fighting most of the bacterial load. Because you notice that from the time you start cleaning, they're removing the bedding, they're doing the wet cleaning, using the water to remove the dust, so that then we remove the bacteria. But water only cannot kill bacteria. So using a detergent is very important because it will also help with taking out that fatty layer from the bacteria that will be stuck in the house, on the feeders and everywhere on the walls and on the floors. The detergent helps with removing that fatty layer such that now when we're applying the disinfectant, it can then kill that bacteria within the poultry house
Okay.
or the viruses and the protozoas that you probably find on a poultry site.
Okay, great. And what are the difference in
Yes.
cleaning and disinfection for the two floor types? Because I understand that we have earth and concrete floor types.
Yes, yes. So most poultry farmers, they are using earth floors. So an earth floor is basically a dead floor where it's just soil. So some farmers don't have the resources to put a concrete floor to make a nice concrete that is easy to clean after the batch and also easy to manage. So now in terms of cleaning that earth floor as well, it's got steps that it requires if it's going to be reset to become a new floor for the next batch. So what now I always advise farmers with a dead floor, after you clean the bed, you remove your bedding material and all that. It's not going to be cleaned by just sweeping with a broom. You also need to scrape off that top layer of soil
Yes.
so that then all the debris and everything else, the bedding that will be remaining can be completely removed from the house because only a broom cannot do that. So now with the earth floor, the farmer will need to scrape off the whole topsoil and take it out, put it in their fields far away from the site, and then look for new topsoil to come and then do the filling while they're also doing their disinfection. Whereas with the concrete floor, it's just easy for a farmer because all they do is they sweep it, they just clean it with brooms, and everything is just easy to do. So that is the main difference with cleaning earth floors and concrete floors.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how do
Yes.
moisture and warmth affect the productivity of a poultry farm in general terms?
Okay, so in general terms, we are talking about moisture and the humid season, they favor bacteria.
Yes.
Bacteria, if it's not cleared from a poultry site, it needs three things to survive. In basic terms, it needs food, it needs water, which is our moisture, and it needs warmth for it to grow and multiply. So once the cleaning and disinfection is not done properly, we already have the bacteria on site.
Yes.
Once we put in the chickens, we now have our food and all humidity. Those chickens as well, they provide warmth and water. That's the moisture that is within the atmosphere and in the poultry site. So they now also provide the food and the bacteria will flourish and then grow.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Also, you say in your article that cleaning and disinfection will not completely remove all bad microorganisms, like you just said. Explain this to us a little more.
Okay. So practically speaking, there is nothing called 100% sterilization. And it also applies to poultry farming. You cannot completely wipe away all the bacteria, all the microorganisms that are harmful to us. The only way is to try and minimize their population as much as possible. So this is what I was referring to, such that farmers, even if they do their cleaning and disinfection, they can never completely take all the microorganisms off 100%. They can only minimize the population such that when you bring in new chicks, the population of bacteria is low and it
Yes.
cannot overcome the chicks when you've placed them. Yes.
Okay. Okay, and are routine hygiene swabs advisable to check for clinic standards?
Sorry?
You say in your article that you talk about routine hygiene swabs. So I'm asking you if this is advisable to check for clinic standards.
Yes, it is recommended for cleaning standards.
Yes. But
because it also helps the farmers with checking how well they're doing their cleaning and disinfection. But it's not something that most farmers can afford. You find that only commercial farmers that are doing big capacities like your 10,000, 20,000 and above can really easily afford to factor this into their budgets and easily do it in a sustainable way to check. But with small scale poultry farmers, it's really hard for them to do hygiene and routine swabs. So the best thing that they have at their disposal is actually to just try and do the cleaning and disinfection step by step. And then maybe do an investment. If they are profitable, they can then invest in probably checking once a year if they are doing their cleaning well. But if they really follow the steps, I think it will help.
okay, thank you very much. And what are your final conclusions about your article? What can you tell us?
Okay. So my final conclusions about the article is one of the things that inspires my work is small scale poultry farmers. They are very close to my heart. I'm passionate about sustainable food systems,
Yes.
and so poultry farmers they are also the future and of sustainability of the food system. So the reason why I did this article and the conclusions is I really want to help small scale poultry farmers and to get them to a point where they also get knowledge freely to be sustainable and as well to be competitive in the global market. Because also with lack of knowledge and resources, then it's really hard for them to bridge some of those gaps. But if they've got knowledge, they can get to a point where they can start to be productive and
Yes.
efficient as well as sustainable slowly, slowly, which can then get them to a stage where they can then grow and be competitive at some point in their yeah business journey.
Okay, doctor, thank you very much for your article. We have learned the importance of cleaning and disinfection in broiler production. We appreciate your willingness for the interview as well as for having written the article for the magazine of aviNews International. This is the end of today's interview, and we will see each other in the next opportunity. Again, thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Have a nice day too.